You are watching the Sci-Fi Channel.
You're caught in the SFvortex.
This is intriguing.
It's gonna be a blast, especially for Linda Hamilton, who's trapped at the base of Dante's Peak.
Take a right, go down the alley.
You think volcanoes are dangerous? We've got something bigger to worry about on the 100th episode of Highlander.
I am the end of time!
History.
Hold on a little longer there, Duncan. We wouldn't want him to miss the Borg encounter on Voyager.
I must say, there's nothing like the vacuum of space for preserving a handsome corpse.
Yeah, whatever, Doc. But speaking of corpses, Dracula has created his share over the century, and we'll celebrate his 100th birthday in our war room. So adjust the controls and sit right up so we can preview and review SF Entertainment.
I'm out of here before it all hits the fan.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Lodge, and this is SFvortex, the show that brings you one step closer to your favorite sci-fi television program or movie. And how about this past week, folks? The big news in science fiction was the triumphant return of Star Wars. Not only did the film have an incredible opening weekend, pulling in $36.5 million, but it's now the second highest grossing film in history, right after another sci-fi favorite, E.T. We know one of our viewers, James R. Johnson, was one of the millions of folks who braved the long lines to see Luke Skywalker and company, and he wrote to us with some of his thoughts. I enjoyed the new version of Star Wars, and it is still one of my favorite movies ever. I was happy to see that fathers and their kids were packed into the theaters, introducing a new generation to the film. And that's a very good point, James. You know, we had a war room discussion all about Star Wars last week, but in the heat of the argument, we forgot to talk about how many viewers were recently introduced to Star Wars for the very first time on the big screen. You know, I took my son Brandon, and ever since he's been trying to use the Force to clean his room. But the Death Star isn't the only thing exploding this week. The most recent disaster film, Dante's Peak, wreaks havoc for Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton, who are living in the shadow of a rumbling volcano. But unlike in Star Wars, the residents of Dante's Peak, they don't have the option of escaping into hyperspace.
I thought this was supposed to be an extinct volcano.
What's at stake? Well, there's a community at stake. It's a very small community, and it's spearheaded by a mayor, played by Linda Hamilton. And she's a single mother, 2 children. Husband ran out the back door and left her to fend for herself and the children, but she loves her community, Dante's Peak. I come in and say that, you know, there's danger here. This thing could blow.
This mountain's a ticking bomb.
It's us against a force of nature, which is the first thing that I've done, like, on that level.
What is that?
That is a pyroclastic cloud.
And the star, the volcano of Dante's Peak. This movie takes you down bumpy roads for a wild ride, but is still based on science fact.
Volcanoes aren't just about a mountain blowing up. They're about ash clouds, they're about pyroclastic clouds, they're about lahars, acid lakes, earthquakes. There's many things that happen around an erupting volcano that can get you if the volcano doesn't.
You know, maybe I should consider that volcano insurance after all. Dante's Peak is in theaters right now. On syndicated television this week, Highlander the series is celebrating its 100th episode, and things were reportedly pretty festive on the Highlander set. Cake, party hats, beheadings, the works. In the resulting episode, it seems that the evil Kronos is trying to bring on Armageddon by reuniting the legendary 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. As Duncan learns, the group plans to set aside the weapons of yesteryear and instead wipe out modern humanity with a killer virus. Well, it's not exactly Monopoly, that's for sure. But then again, the end of the world never is. Congratulations to all the folks over at Highlander. With 100 episodes under their belt, they've already filmed about 25 more episodes, of their show than the original Star Trek. Pretty cool, huh? However, there have been hundreds of Star Trek episodes if you count all the shows and movies the original series inspired, including this week's Voyager episode, which has Chakotay encountering the ex-Borg, a colony of former Borgs who have somehow been separated from the collective. The big question here, folks, is are the ex-Borg as nasty as their cybernetic counterparts? Well, you'll just have to watch and find out. But until then, here's a sneak preview. Wow. I guess that Demi Moore look is even happening in outer space, huh? Wow. Be sure to let us know what you think of this Voyager Borg episode, folks. Did you like it or not? I smell a future War Room topic. Going now from the Delta Quadrant right into a fantasy world of our own, Las Vegas. My SFvortex cohorts and I beamed down last weekend to participate in Sci-Fi Day, a star-studded benefit for the Childhood Cancer Foundation and I Have a Dream, sponsored by our friends over at Sci-Fi Universe magazine. And now, through the magic of videotape, you can pretend that you went along with us. So why don't we all take a look? We've made it out of the space station to beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the MGM Grand Hotel for Sci-Fi Day. And I'm here to do battle with who else but the dreaded Klingons. Who wants me to win? I like my chances.
Applause! Victory to the Klingon Empire! Klingon, ho! Klingon, ho! Klingon, ho!
What made this event different from other convention-type charity events was the location. I gave this one a thumbs up because we weren't stuck in a stuffy convention hall. Instead, it was a day of fun for everyone.
The idea for Sci-Fi Day started with the idea that it was the 20th anniversary of Star Wars, and we knew that in the way it inspired us as kids, we wanted to inspire a whole new generation of kids with the imaginative and creative power of science fiction.
Sci-Fi Day featured a panel of celebrity speakers talking about SF fandom.
I was doing a soap for 5 years, and I thought the fans from soaps were fanatical about their shows, but not until I got into science fiction did I realize they paled to comparison.
Space coming back is probably not a possibility, we've heard that they may run it on Sci-Fi Channel.
Look out. Well, let's hope Kristen is correct, huh? Negotiations do look promising for the acquisition. We'll keep you updated. Of course, it wasn't all play and no work in Las Vegas. Besides all the free cotton candy, we did get the scoop on a major DS9 storyline. And beware, folks, this may be a spoiler for you, so you might want to adjust your audio level.
I think for Rom, you know, anything I would have said to them about where I wanted the character to go, they have more than topped my greatest dreams, because they've taken that character from being under the thumb of his brother and someone who everybody pushes around to be, you know, to gaining his independence and leaving his job. And like you said, he's going to get married now, actually, a Bajoran wedding.
DS9's always been my favorite of the Star Treks because of the Ferengis. And I'm excited about it. I just hope they don't make me follow the rules for women.
Well, don't forget, Chase, one of those Ferengi rules are that women don't wear clothes. We'll let you know the date of their wedding as soon as the invitations are sent out. Button up your collars, folks. It's Dracula's 100th anniversary. And up next in the War Room, we'll be talking about the world's most famous bloodsucker. I guess this will be a good time for a Johnny Cochran joke, but I'm going to go ahead and not do that. Stick around. We're right back. All right, welcome back to SFvortex. We're headed down to the War Room, folks, to discuss none other than Count Dracula, who made his debut 100 years ago in Bram Stoker's classic novel. In the years since, vampires have certainly become a fascinating part of our media and our culture, for better or for worse. Despite the fact that hundreds of distinct vampire legends have existed in almost every culture in the world for thousands of years, all of our current impressions about vampires come from a single book, Dracula by Bram Stoker.
I am Dracula.
More than 500 movies and television productions, as well as countless books and graphic illustrations, owe their inspiration to Stoker's 100-year-old work. Published in 1897, Bram Stoker's Dracula has not been out of print since then and has been translated into more than 50 languages. Original manuscripts show that Stoker had intended to name his novel The Undead, but changed his mind when he read historical accounts of a bloodthirsty prince from Transylvania. The 15th century warlord was also known as Vlad the Impaler for his infamous habit of impaling his enemies on wooden poles and leaving them to die slowly. Bram Stoker died in 1912, not knowing that Dracula, one of 17 books he wrote, would help keep vampire legends alive and give Stoker himself literary immortality. Scary stuff, huh, folks? Okay, we are in the war room with three of the world's foremost Dracula experts. A newcomer to the war room, Noreen Dresser, is here, a folklorist and author of American Vampires, Fans, Victims, Practitioners. Also joining us, S.P. Somtow, a noted author and screenwriter in the vampire genre. And Dr. J. Gordon Melton is here, author of the vampire book, The Encyclopedia of the Undead. He's also the chairman and co-founder of the upcoming International Dracula 97 convention in Los Angeles. Keep watching, folks, so you'll be prepared. All right, guys, welcome. Nice to have you all here.
Thank you very much.
Let me get to my first question. Lots of Draculas over the years, the last 100 years, but I want to know right now your all-time favorite Dracula. S.P. Somtow, start us off.
Well, when I was 8 years old, my mother took me to see Horror of Dracula.
Which wasn't that long ago.
Well, nah, the other day.
Okay, go ahead.
The other day, Christopher Lee, she covered her eyes for the entire movie, forcing me, a little 8-year-old, to watch the movie. And therefore, it made an impression upon my brain which has never gone away. So I would have to say Christopher Lee because of my childhood.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty deep, SP. Okay, Mr. Melton, go ahead.
Well, it's hard to fault Langella's Dracula. It was great, but one must have...
Why are you going to fault?
It would be hard to... I would not want to.
Oh, okay.
But I would want to mention Louis Jourdan, his BBC production of Dracula, which didn't show in the movies, but showed on television, was an excellent, excellent film and one of the truest to the novel.
A great adaptation of the novel, yeah.
Okay, now, Noreen, before I get to you, okay, when it comes to my opinion, if you care, when it comes to Dracula, I got two words for you. Bela Lugosi, the conversation stops right there. He was Dracula. Noreen, of course, you agree with me, right?
No.
Okay, we'll be back after this. No, go ahead. Who's your favorite?
Well, that's why I was getting all excited when Gordon started mentioning Frank Langella. He was one of my favorites because he's very sensual, and I can't really say the same about Bela Lugosi. And I had seen Bela Lugosi's portrayal quite a few times, but when I saw Frank Langella do it, something else happened. I had a more emotional response to it.
So you're saying he's the sexiest?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Well, he's also the most sensual. I mean, the scene where the wolf changes into the man and the hand and the operation of his hand all through the movie.
Right. What do you think of Gary Oldman, his Dracula? How about that scene with the knife? What do you think of that, Gordon?
I liked Oldman. I had no room to fault him, but I don't think he carried the sensual quality that Langella Jourdan did.
All right. Langella did something with his eyes.
What do they do with his eyes? Well, hold that thought. We'll come back in just a minute. I got to go to a break. When we come back, more Dracula talk as SF Vortex continues. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're right back. All right, welcome back to SF Vortex. We're still in the war room with Noreen Dresser, S.P. Somtow, and the pride of Alabama, J. Gordon Melton. All right. Now, you know what? You were going to do this whole Frank Langella thing with his eyes. What is it that Frank Langella did?
I wasn't going to do it.
Give us a...
Well, he sort of dilates them and liquefies them and sort of...
Oh, that's good.
We get a close-up of that? Look at that. You can't teach what S.P. Somtow does. That's terrific. Terrific stuff.
Well, you're an actor. You do it.
No. Okay, let me move on with my show here, if you guys don't mind. Okay, we're talking about Dracula. We're talking about 100 years. And what I want to know is, what is it about this guy that is this the society has this fascination with Dracula for 100 years? Why has he been able to sustain this for so long?
One of the reasons is that there's something for everyone. And as a result of my book, I've gotten a lot of letters from prisoners, and I think that's kind of an interesting idea, because you can interpret it in a couple of ways. One, that they feel trapped, imprisoned in this state of limbo where they're neither dead nor alive.
Right.
Or it may be that they're just anxious to have the power that this creature also has. So, and I hear from teenagers too, with a budding sexuality, and they're really drawn to this figure that, you know, everybody goes for him.
So there's a little sexuality? Yeah.
Sex is really important.
Very important.
Yeah, I mean, what character lives forever, has sexual power, can have any woman he wants with just the glance of those eyes?
Frank Sinatra.
But the thing is that almost all art is about sex and death in some way or another. But Dracula is one of the only characters where the sex and death are combined into a sort of single entity.
Completely embodied.
Yeah, just all in one.
So
one-stop shopping.
I agree.
So you're telling me that Frank Langella, sexy?
Oh, very. Not in his incarnation today.
Who was the sexiest Dracula?
Langella.
Langella in the 1979.
What do you think?
I think Langella was sexier, but I'm not really a good judge of that.
He wasn't as sexy as Bela Lugosi. Lugosi was Dracula. Well, I'm pushing for this Bela Lugosi thing.
Well, obviously.
We all love Lugosi.
But you know the reason why you are, because he became the model for it, and anything else is measured up to him. It doesn't matter who it would be. It could be four times
There's
better.
no doubt that Lugosi was getting letters from women for years.
Yeah. Right.
And the studio never caught on to the fact that he was a star with that kind of appeal, and that was the appeal of Dracula, was as a sensual creature.
How about the fact that, let's face it, Dracula, you know, let's look at the bullet points here. He lures women into his house. He sucks the blood out of them. This is a violent guy. What are we saying in society? What kind of sign is this for the society? Is it bad?
Well, I mean, 3 women live with him. It sounds good to me.
It sounds like my kind of place to hang out. What do you think, Noreen?
I don't know how to answer that right off.
Okay.
Because there's too much involved. He's dangerous, and I think there's always that part of us that likes the danger, but we're afraid of the danger. And so he represents so much. He's such a complex character, and I don't think everybody just thinks of him as in his home. I think they think of him coming to your home and coming to get you while you're somewhere else.
Oh, I can sleep good tonight. Thank you, Noreen.
The badness is fine as long as it's vicarious. I mean, we're not going to all go out and do it.
Right. Yeah, Dracula is not the kind of character that you want as a role model. He's and people who like Dracula do not like him because he is a role model. They like him because he embodies certain traits that we might like to see strengthened in our lives, or he embodies certain hopes that we would like to be able to realize.
Or he embodies that which we don't want to be like.
Yeah, or that which we fear.
So he becomes a negative role model, and those are important too.
Well, we do all want to live forever, but at the cost of being dead, I don't know.
What about some of the changes, real quick before we get out of here, what about some of the changes to Dracula over the years? You happy with them?
I think they've helped bring out the fullness of the character. Remember that Dracula is the single literary work that's been produced and brought to the screen the most. 18 times that movie has been, the book has been turned into a movie.
And Kevin Bacon was in every one of them. I'm just joking.
And 18 more times before. Yes.
Okay, you know what? What do you mean we're out of time? They're waving me off. We got to get out of here. But real quick, do that Dracula imitation you were doing, just for the folks at home.
Dracula.
Oh, that was terrific. You know what? I'm taking notes. Do it one more time.
Dracula.
Oh, unbelievable. How do you follow that? You know what? You don't. I got to get out of here, folks. I want to thank my guests, Noreen Dresser, S.P. Somtow. That was terrific, by the way. And Dr. J. Gordon Melton for joining us. Don't go anywhere, because when I come back, I'll be upstairs in my world-famous space studio with news, letters, and more when SF Vortex returns.
Danger!
Danger, danger, Will Robinson. Hey, folks, guess what? Great news. The cast of New Line's big-budget Lost in Space feature film is almost locked into place. This past week, William Hurt signed on to play John Robinson. He joins Gary Oldman as Dr. Smith. Oh, Will the pain! Time for a quick viewer letter. Trekkie Chad Elwell wants to know when he can expect to see his favorite show here on the Sci-Fi Channel. And he writes, why don't you have Star Trek in your program lineup? I live out in the sticks, and there is not one channel available to me that carries Star Trek. If you carried it, I would be so pleased. Nothing is more sci-fi than Star Trek. Well, Chad, the Sci-Fi Channel has exclusive rights to the original series. Look for it starting in January '98. See you next time, everybody!
From the four corners of the globe come eyewitness reports of UFO landings, ghostly apparitions, and mind-bending mystics. Amazing accounts that defy explanation. Now one investigative team is on the scene to let you experience the unknown firsthand. On Sci-Fi Channel's Sightings. SFC Next.